Hi, welcome to Tasty Tidbits with Tawn. I'm your Pampered Chef Consultant, Tawn, and today we're going to be using the Deluxe multi-cooker to fix some pork chops. The main reason I got this was because I think it's going to take the place of two other appliances that I own, and so I'm going to give those to my sons. I think it will take the place of my slow cooker and my pressure cooker because the multi-cooker can do both of those things. The thing we're going to be doing today is sous vide cooking. And that is using a water bath that does not touch the food to slow and low cook for a longer period of time food to perfection. It's a technique that a lot of cooks and chefs use, and it's supposed to be delicious. I did try it out yesterday with steak, and oh my goodness, it was wonderful. And it's a good thing I did try it out yesterday because I learned a few things about how to use this, like reading all of the directions first to make sure you know how all the settings work. And what I did with my steaks was I used our garlic and herb seasoning, which is delicious, and it made the steaks come out just perfect. I did them at 135 degrees for 2 hours, and they came out medium rare, just like we like them. All right, so the multi-cooker has 16 preset settings on it for cooking, and it also can be custom. So you can do so very much with it. It can do yogurt, it can sterilize, it slow cooks, it pressure cooks, it can sous vide, you can make your own homemade yogurt in it, so many things. So what we need to do first, it's already plugged in, there's a power button in the back, I'm gonna turn it on. There we go. And then I'm just gonna take the lid off. And it has two handy little notches in the back where you can put the lid so that you're not looking for counter space or setting it down on top of something else. Very, very handy. To do sous vide cooking, we need to have a water bath, and it says to fill it halfway up, which I have already done. There's a pot that goes inside of it. It's filled up halfway, and it says we need to start at room temperature water. So this has been sitting out all day waiting, getting to room temperature. So we've already done that part. I'm gonna put the lid back on, which is pretty easy to do. Turn, lock it on, and then we need to go ahead and tell it that we are going to do sous vide. So there it is, it's highlighted. I am going to press that. And then we want 140 degrees for the pork chops. We did the steaks to 135 medium rare, but pork we want to do 140. So I'm just gonna turn the knob up to 140, and then I'm gonna hold and press. And it's going to run a preheat cycle. And it runs for about 30 minutes or so until it gets the water up to that 140 degrees that we wanna do. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get out my large flexible cutting mat here. And then we're going to take our pork chops and we're just gonna pat them dry. We wanna make sure that we don't have any excess water on them. Grab some paper towels and get all the liquids off, and then stick our seasoning on there. Like I said yesterday for the steak, I did the garlic and herb from Pampered Chef, and it was delicious. Today, I have a barbecue seasoning that I would like to do that was up in the pantry that needs to be used up. So it is not Pampered Chef, but if I was using it, I would use the smoky applewood barbecue. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite Pampered Chef barbecue seasoning. So there's one. Now we said we have to put these in a water bath, but we don't want it to touch the water. So it's all indirect cooking with sous vide method. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the resealable silicone bags, storage bags that Pampered Chef makes. And what's really cool about these is that I'm not constantly buying Ziploc bags anymore. I can reuse these by just simply turning them completely inside out, putting them in my dishwasher, letting them get clean, and then dry and reused for something else. So these are the perfect size to cook the sous vide. We do have 3 other sizes of the silicone bags. So there's a medium-sized one. There is one that is more of a snack size. I use this one quite a bit. In fact, I bought a second one of those. It's in the refrigerator right now. And then there's a sandwich size one, which opens up really nifty. And if it's sandwiches, I also store lunch meat in this one because it's a great size for lunch meat. So I just wanted to show you those. Those are all something that we have. All right, next I'm going to season up. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm using my chef's tongs. Pampered Chef makes 2 sizes of these, and I really enjoy using them. They have a locking mechanism on them, so that when they're being stored or not in use, they'll be able to stay closed. Tip them over, and then they open up for you and are spring-loaded inside. Okay, I'm gonna stick these in the bag. We don't want them to overlap too much. We'll put one down at the bottom. There we go. This bag is much bigger than it looks like on the outside. There we go. Oh yeah, it fit both of those in there really well. Now you want to get as much air out of here as possible. It's almost a vacuum seal kind of a thing, so I'm going to close that up most of the way. Get the rest of the air out. And finish sealing it up. All right. Okay, so we're gonna let the multi-cooker finish preheating. I'm gonna stick those back in the refrigerator for just a little bit so that they stay cool and don't get in any kind of a trouble. That is releasing steam. Now it's not pressure cooking, but it does get warm in there, so it will go ahead and release steam as it's heating up just to be safe. We will have no trouble taking the lid on or off of here when it's time to do that. So it's gonna go ahead and keep running. It will beep at me 3 times when it's time to add, and it will say add at the top. And we're gonna go ahead and put these in the fridge, and then we'll be back in just a little bit. The multi-cooker has finished with the preheating, so we are ready to add our pork chops into the cooker. So we're just going to open it up. And we're gonna pull that off. There will be condensation on the top, so you might wanna kind of shake that off. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to add in our pork chops. So again, they are in here. We want to make sure that when it goes in, that the meat is fully submerged below the water and that the seal is above the water line. So we're gonna do that. And I'm going to use my tongs. Where did my tongs go? To help put them in the rest of the way. There we go. So the reason for getting the air out of here is so that it doesn't float. We don't want it to float. And we've got the meat down there, we've got the seal, and then we want to make sure the seal is above the water line, but also not impeding the lid when we put the lid back on. Okay, that looks good. So we're just going to put this back on. Lock it in place. And then the important thing about reading the directions that I found out yesterday is the first time when we got the preheat setting going, it said to hold the button in. Well, in the cooking guide, it also tells you in the recipes to hold when you're ready to start cooking. But that is not the case. You need to read the little green paper that comes with your directions that says that that is not right. You just need to push it in, not to hold it in. So we've got a 2-hour timer on it. I'm gonna press, and there's our 2 hours, and it says cook down below, and we're gonna let it do its thing, and then we'll come back in just about 2 hours and see what our pork chops look like and taste like. See you then. All right, we are back. We are on the last minute of the cook cycle here, and it should be done anytime now. If we wanted to, we could go ahead and just leave it in the multi-cooker for up to 2 hours on warm, and it would just sit in there. It wouldn't continue to cook, and it would stay warm. So if you needed to start this earlier, or if you needed to wait until later to eat, that would be perfectly fine. All right, there it says end. And what we need to do then is just press this X because we're done. And we can open up the lid. The pressure has been releasing every 5 minutes on its own. There we go. And lift. Like we said, there'll be condensation on the top. You might want to shake that off. And let's let's see how these pork chops did. Oh, hot. All right, I'm gonna drip that off. Let me grab a towel real quick. All right, just to get the water off of there. Ooh. Now, there is juice inside, but that's from the pork chops themselves. So let's open it up. I can smell it already. Ooh. Ooh. Yum. All right, we're gonna take one out and see what happens. Ooh. All right. Should be okay. Grab a knife. And a fork, and let's take a look. Oh my goodness, look at that beautiful color. It is not overcooked, it is certainly not dry. And that's the thing about sous vide cooking, is that it cooks in its own juices. Those juices do not escape the bag. And so your food is going to be super, super tender and moist. And let's take a bite. Oh my gosh, that is delicious. And I'm not a huge pork chop fan. But that's fantastic. Okay, thanks for joining me on Tasty Tips with Tom. And until next time, happy cooking.